When did you realize your high expectations were hurting you more than helping you? I grew up thinking that if I set the bar high, I would never fall far. My parents said aim for the best. Teachers told me grit and standards would carry me. I believed that wanting more was the same as getting more. I thought a plan was a promise if I worked hard enough. That was my truth for a long time. I made lists and timelines. I pictured myself at 30 with a house, a job that mattered, and a steady love. I told myself that compromise was for people who gave up. I thought disappointment meant I had to try harder. For years I pushed toward those scenes like they were safety nets. Then life began to pull at the seams. The first crack was small. The job I thought would teach me everything fell apart. It was not the failure I expected. It was less dramatic. It was slow erosion. I showed up and met walls. The work I loved turned clinical. The praise stopped. I stayed because my plan depended on that title. I stayed until I was hollowed out. I told myself I was learning patience. My partner and I had a plan too. We talked about kids and a house with a yard. We scheduled visits to open houses on lazy Sundays like it was homework. We picked paint colors as if they were vows. Then the timing skipped. Health news made the idea of a child harder than we had rehearsed. We tried and failed more times than I can count. My friends who had warned me that life is messy kept sending notes of comfort and plans that moved on without us. I watched family photos online and felt my mouth fill with stones. I started to measure nights by who was asleep beside me and who was missing. Grief arrived in small shapes. A canceled meeting that proved I was replaceable. A birthday where I realized I had been waiting for someone else to be proud. These were not single big blows. They were quiet betrayals by expectation. I began to notice how I had trained myself to expect perfect returns on every effort. I thought love would be loyal if I was loyal. I thought careers would reward me if I worked beyond tired. I thought friends would show up if I did the same. When those things did not match my ledger, I blamed myself and tightened the list. I became a collector of shoulds. The more I clung to them, the less I slept. The less I slept, the worse my days felt. I started snapping at small things. I stopped answering invitations because they did not fit the calendar I had built. I compared every life to my neat picture and found them lacking. One night in a hospital waiting room, I sat on a plastic chair and realized I had been carrying expectations like heavy coats in summer. I could feel every fold and itch. A woman across from me held her partner's hand without a plan. A man read a book with dogered pages and smiled at nothing. They were not living less than me. They were living differently. That was a quiet cut. I did not become humble all at once. I learned in pieces. I let myself cry in the shower without pretending it was cleansing. I let someone else make dinner and found I did not collapse. I took a job that paid less and did not die. I told a friend I was scared, and she said I was allowed to be scared. I started to ask myself what the bar was actually for. Who was it protecting me from? Who was I trying to prove things to? The answers were small and honest. I wanted to be safe and seen. I wanted to be known as capable. But those wants had become demands. They were walls more than ladders. Now I try to set my expectations like windows. I open some wide and close others when the weather is bad. I still aim. I still like good work and loyal people. But I let room for failure and for surprise. I hold my plans less like strict maps and more like sketches I can redraw. It does not feel like giving up. It feels like learning how to breathe in a smaller chest after a long winter. I still wake some mornings wanting to do it all right. Then I remember the woman in the waiting room and the man with the worn book, and I think maybe living is about making softer promises to myself. The bar is still there. I have just learned where to place it so it does not break me. If you like this video, then follow us for more.